NutriCast.
Yeah, honestly, yes. I think that I talked to so many people that said, Mike, what are you doing? You've worked with all these executives and all of these, had the opportunity to go work on Wall Street, and I couldn't turn that down fast enough. And they said, flowers? Like, you're going to take over a florist? And can you make money in flowers? And I think that because 90% of the people didn't think there was an opportunity is exactly where the opportunity is created. And that fired me up. Yeah, I liked that a lot. So it's like being the adverse, but you have to be right? If you're going to do something and have it work, you have to go the adverse of the majority, but you also have to be right. And that's a rare thing to find. And I thought that was the case here in the floral industry.
Welcome to Think Business with Tyler, sharing our methods and strategies for success. Join in on our conversations with business owners as we highlight their triumphs and detail how they overcame the challenges they faced while continuing to grow and scale their business. It's time to think life, think success, and think business with your host, Tyler Martin.
Have you ever thought about how a floral business could revolutionize an industry? Meet Michael Jacobson, the visionary behind French Florist, who's doing just that. From corporate consulting to floral entrepreneurship, Michael's journey is anything but ordinary. But what are the real challenges in the floral world? Michael breaks it down, revealing how French Florist tackles industry stagnation and elevates client experiences. So, why franchising? Michael shares why passionate owner-operators are key to maintaining quality and expanding rapidly. Plus, he offers golden advice for entrepreneurs. Build strong teams, embrace challenges, and align your business with personal values. Michael candidly shares how he transformed a business on the edge of bankruptcy into a thriving enterprise. Let's chat with him now. Hey, Michael, welcome to the Think Business with Tyler podcast show. How's it going today?
Hey, Tyler, thank you so much. Going phenomenally well today. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks. Thanks for being here. Hey, I'd love to start out learning a little bit about you. So the first thing I'd like to know, what do you do professionally for work?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I work at French Florist. I happen to be the owner and the CEO, if you want to give me that fancy title. We own and operate flower shops, and we're really good at doing that. What we've started to do recently as well is open up our technology and supply chain and marketing to other flower shops as well. So we're in the early stages of franchising. But right now, the bulk of our business is we own and operate wonderful flower shops here in California.
Very cool. When you say shops, how many are there in total?
So we have 3 corporate locations, but I'll give you a point of reference. One of our corporate locations will do about 10 million in revenue this year. The average flower shop does about 350K in revenue. That's usually 10 or 15 years of operating. So when I say we own 3 flower shops, we own 3 pretty big flower shops compared to the industry.
Wow. Do those flower shops, like geographically, how large of an area do they cover?
Our corporate locations are just in Southern California.
Okay.
And on the franchise side, we're expanding. We've just opened across state lines for the first time in 2024. We went into Arizona and Scottsdale. 2025, now we're looking at Denver, Texas, Northern California, but mostly Southwest US.
Very cool. Okay. I'm going to dig deeper into all that. Now, another question I have before we get rolling here. How about on a personal note, anything that you can share about yourself personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think as an entrepreneur, or if you consider yourself a business owner, the business and the work that we do, it plays a large part of who we are and our identity. And so, very grateful to be in the position that I am. I feel like my work and my personal are very aligned. A lot of my identity is tied up in French Florist, absolutely, but that's why I like it as the choice. But outside of work, you can find me surfing, swimming, anything to do with the water is always something I love to do.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit, not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
But outside of work, you can find me surfing, swimming, anything to do with the water is always something I love to do.
Ah, very cool. Okay, so let's get to the story here. So you, as I understand your background, you worked for, I think, $1 billion company at one point, and then you got into real estate. Take us through kind of from the $1 billion company to real estate to then you somehow ran into French Florist, and it wasn't exactly thriving when you got there.
Yeah, totally. So I'm going to take you back to middle school. I remember in our middle school days, middle school banned soda cans out of our vending machines. And I saw an opportunity. People wanted soda and they were willing to pay for it. And nobody was giving out soda anymore. And so I would give that soda out for money. So So in middle school, I kind of figured out, ran my own little, underground business selling soda cans. And that's really where I kind of that fire in my belly got ignited, the entrepreneurial spirit. And so, that's kind of where it started. So I thought it'd be funny and fun to just point that out. But then I went through college, high school, college. In college, I did real estate in college to kind of help pay for my tuition. And that was interesting. It was, again, very entrepreneurial. But I was part of a bigger team as well. So I had a little bit of infrastructure support to learn the ropes. And then, I love the entrepreneurial spirit, but it's scary, right? We hear the statistics of how many businesses fail, and I didn't want to be part of that stat. So right out of college, I joined a $1 billion, consulting company. And definitely within a month of working there, kind of realized that like, hey, this flame in my belly here, it's not, the oxygen is not getting to it. It's getting suffocated, and it's not the company for me to be at. My, middle school self wouldn't be happy with what I'm doing here. So I said, I'm going to stick this out for about a year or so. I made a commitment to take this job, and I want to do right by that. So I did. I lasted about a week more than a year. And then I was like, okay, finish my commitment. I'm out of here. And serendipitously, when I was finishing my, kind of short or long year, depending on how you're looking at it in corporate consulting, I got a call from my uncle who owned a flower shop called French Florist. He had started the business and was running it for over 35 years. And he called me. I was up in Seattle at the time in the consulting. And he says, Mike, I'm tired. I want to sell my flower shop. I'm done. And my background is in finance and in software development. So he wanted to tap my background in finance, and I wanted to leave my corporate consulting job. So I came down to LA. I missed the sunshine, and I said, yeah, like, let me help you out, your family, and, keeps my hands busy working on something while I find the next thing that I want to do. And so that was the original intention of how I got to French Florist. I came in to help my uncle sell French Florist. And kind of very long story short, I fell in love with the business. Happy to go into how and why. It's a weird thing to fall in love with the floral industry. Is the florists I've learned all over the years, they're very good people. They're very passionate. They're very creative. They're not doing it for the money. They understand the deeper meaning behind flowers. It's a meditative thing for a lot of folks. They're working with nature, right? There's a lot of reasons beyond the money, and they're not making, a lot of florists are not making money. There's a reason he was selling the business, right?
Right.
But again, that's where I saw the opportunity. There was pain where the floral industry wasn't being run very well, and saw an opportunity there. So that excited me, and I took over the flower shop. He looked at me a little funny when I asked if I could buy it from him, but he did. He let me buy it, and here we are.
And when you bought it, it wasn't like this vibrant, growing business, right? It was kind of a stagnant. I almost get the impression maybe not even making money.
Yeah, it was making revenue.
Okay.
It wasn't making profit,
Yeah.
right? And at the end of the day, there's three things that are really important. Revenue is the third most important. Profit is the second most important. And then the number one is our time, right? What's the most finite resource beyond money is our time, right?
Yeah.
So, and all three, one out of the three of those, I guess, was being hit. It was a decent revenue store, but yeah, no profit. And he was working his tail off, to say the least. I did not have any, free time. And as a business owner, it's tiring, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was not in the best shape. It had great bones, great employees, great culture, great clients, but just wasn't being run profitably. So that was a tough thing.
And you saw, when you offered to buy it from him, did you, in your mind, you're like, man, I see opportunity here. Is that what got you excited?
Yeah. So when I came in to sell his business, right? Or to help him sell it.
Right.
And so I did what most normal people do when they go to sell a business. They go to other flower shops, they go online, they look at what those flower shops are selling for. I went into a lot of flower shops and tried to see, what are these guys doing well? What are these girls doing not well? What's working, what's not? What multiples are they selling for? And I saw this opportunity. There was this common thread between all flower shops that I went into. And let me back up for a second and tell you just about the broader industry.
Sure.
I think this will help a lot. There's three reasons. The floral industry is incredibly, incredibly stagnant. And the first reason is because there's a lack of technology in the space. And why there's a lack of technology is because the US floral industry is $19 billion. And I'm not talking about wholesale or farming or grocery stores. It's no, actual florists. There's 30,000 florists in the United States, is an absurd amount. And between all of them, they do collective about $19 billion in revenue. And that sounds like a big number. But the reality is, when you're looking at institutional capital, like venture capital, private equity, venture, they're looking at the $1 trillion opportunities. And so they're not really investing a lot into the floral industry. They want software, they want AI, they want biotech, pharmaceutical, whatever. But then, floral is like, okay, so there's not a lot of outside capital coming in. And a lot of times innovation comes from, economic opportunity, business people seeing it and wanting to come and invest into a space. So you don't have outside capital coming in. Also, when we think of the brand and the marketplace of like who owns the word flowers, and I'll play a game here. If I say the word French fries, what company do you think of?
McDonald's.
Same. If I say, and this now it depends on what side of the country you're on, but if I say coffee, what company do you think of?
I mean, Starbucks for us.
Yeah, for West Coast, I would say the same.
Yeah.
And if I said flowers, what company do you think of?
Probably 1-800-Flowers.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And if there is a right answer, that is the correct answer. So 1-800-Flowers is we call them a wire service. It's another word for like a broker.
Yep.
So they broker flowers. So if you buy from 1-800-Flowers, they're going to syndicate that order to a local florist. The problem is they take a 30 to 40% commission after all of their fees at the end of the day from that order and from the florist. So if you pay $100 for flowers, the florist is usually only getting 60, $65 out of that. And like, obviously, you can see how you're going to get a more poor experience, but also that is incredibly degrading to the florist unit economics. The profitability suffers from that. And so you have an environment where there's no outside capital coming in. You have the dominant market player, 1-800-Flowers, is taking huge commissions from these florists. And then the third reason is you have a lot of florists that are multi-generational or family owned, or it might be a single, mom and pop shop, but it's been operating for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and they're really stuck in their way. And to get a lot of stagnation from that too, people are just being stuck in their way and the industry just being old and, because it's folks that are, small businesses and they get stuck in their way naturally. So these are all the driving forces as why the industry got so stagnant. And what that's resulted in is, an incredible lack of technology, supply chain that is like really not good. You have 1-800-Flowers between the consumer and the retailer, but then also on the downside of the supply chain where you're sourcing from farms, there's, you have the farm, then the processor, then consolidator, then the distributor, then the logistics agency, then the wholesaler, then the retail, and it's like, by the time it gets to the consumer, it's like, whoa, these flowers are only lasting 5 or 6 days, and a rose should last 3 weeks once it's come from the farm, and people don't realize that. So, technology, supply chain, and then the marketing as well. Marketing, I don't know what your opinions are. I have my own. I try to be polite about it, but like with 1-800-Flowers, you can see it in their name, right? It's 1-800-Flowers. There's Tella, Flora, like all of the major floral brands out there were amazing in the fax era, but because they've been the market leaders, I think they've sat fat and happy for quite some time. And that's unfortunate. So there hasn't been a lot of innovation coming from the market leaders. And so through all of that, we saw a lot of opportunity to not just do something really amazing through fixing the tech, fixing the supply chain, fixing the marketing problems with this one shop, but a broader opportunity where we could maybe elevate the floral industry, take it to the next level.
So just to drill down a little bit. So here you're helping in the business and something got you to fall in love with it. Was it this criteria we just went over? Like, you're like, wait, there's, nobody's going to penetrate this because they really don't want to throw money at it. So I don't have to worry about private equity. And, there's a lot of room for improvement because the technology really isn't advancing here. Oh, there's supply issues. There's a main competitor that's like a DoorDash that's taking most of, probably our bottom line. Is that really what got you like, oh my gosh, there's so much opportunity here?
Yeah, honestly, yes. I think that I talked to so many people that said, Mike, what are you doing? You've worked with all these executives and all of these, had the opportunity to go work on Wall Street and I couldn't turn that down fast enough. And they said, flowers, like you're going to take over a florist and can you make money in flowers? And I think that because 90% of the people didn't think there was an opportunity is exactly where the opportunity is created. And that fired me up. Yeah, I liked that a lot. So it's
That's
like,
cool.
but you have to be right? If you're going to do something and have it work, you have to go the adverse of the majority, but you also have to be right. And that's a rare thing to find. And I thought that was the case here in the floral industry.
So many, many years ago, when I used to have a CPA firm, one of my clients had a flower shop. And what they would do, and I remember this vividly, they're two ladies, they're sisters. And every morning they would go to San Francisco. And I guess there's a port where the flowers come in from San Francisco. And they'd buy their flowers. And they would come all the way back down. They would go through their inventory. And the next day they would do the same thing. And I used to always think, man, this is a tough business because the perishable side of it, to your point, and I didn't know a rose lasted 3 weeks, but it just seems like it's so instant that you're just fighting. And then there's the ebb and the flow. Valentine's Day
Yep.
is obviously you're going to sell a ton. Probably right now, I don't know. Do people buy flowers going into the new year? My gut says it's probably not a big time of year, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So it's a tough business. So I guess that would be the other things that would scare me. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, that's totally where technology comes into place. Look, like we're in an industry we're in the business of emotions, right? 95% of our customers are sending us a gift from one person to another. I'm sending you flowers for your birthday, congratulations, anniversary, happy, whatever's going on, right? It's very occasion based, not necessarily date specific. So we do have Valentine's Day, we do have Mother's Day, but birthdays, anniversaries, congratulations, sympathy, all of these things help us run a very stable business over the course of the full year. We do have some peaks, but generally it's very, very stable. That being said, though, we don't want to over automate our tech, but the tech that we have introduced and that we've built has helped us a lot. One part of the tech is an inventory system to help us, with the nature of the business being perishable, right? I think a lot of people get really scared of restaurant. I mean, I'm scared of restaurants. I wouldn't want to operate one, right? But like anything that's perishable, including flowers.
Right.
And I think that it's not necessarily as tough as somebody might think if you have the right technology in place. So we have an inventory system, and we've introduced it was the first time we introduced kind of an AI into our system where we have a predictive analytics model. We can forecast what people are ordering on our website. And then we have a designer iPad system. So the designers come in, they clock in and clock out using the iPad. Once they clock in, they see all the orders there. They can tap into the order. The recipe is there, any notes or customizations, and they can change the recipe if they, substitute something. And so now we have all of the product that's being used, all the product that's coming in, and then we have a ton of data on what people are ordering on our website. So we have this full view on what our inventory is and can start to predict what raw materials are going to be needed in order to, design tomorrow's orders or the next day's orders or the next week's orders. So for us, we have something that, no other florist has it, or no other anybody other than French Florist doesn't have it now, where, for us, it's very easy. For another florist, it's usually a lot of the, fly by the seat of your pants. For us, it allows our waste to be a lot less, which allows us to run more efficiently, and then just makes the job easier too. So I don't have to sit there and do it. I can train a manager to do it or somebody else to do it who's probably even more competent than I am, right, in doing these kinds of things. But that being said, too, like the last factor on all of that is we don't maintain a ton of inventory on hand. We might have like $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 worth of inventory on hand, but it's perishable, right? So we don't want to maintain too much. It's all just in time. Like we want to get all of the flowers for tomorrow's orders in today. It's a little bit of an exaggeration because we import directly from the farm. The flowers last longer. We can keep them in the cooler for a couple of days. But generally, it's just in time. So it's not bad. But with the tech, it's a little less do it by the seat of your pants and a little more, hey, I'm going to forecast this and probably reduce my waste in half at least with this system.
So, Michael, if I understand correctly, is that software that you've developed in-house?
It is, totally. Yeah. So that was the first part of our journey was like, hey, we need better technology here because nothing is on the market now. Just to give you another point of reference, the leading technology in the floral space before we built what we had was a system called RTI, and it's literally a DOS-based system. It's a blue and white screen. You have to push F10 to get to the next page. So that was the most robust floral operating system that existed today. And so, yeah, we looked at developing on Shopify. We looked at developing on Salesforce. Nothing was exactly how we wanted it to be, or it was way too expensive. And so, yeah, in 2019, we set out to make our own software. It took 3 years to build and over $1 million. We've invested, quite a lot on top of that, since then. And yeah, it's, can with all confidence say it's the best floral operating system that exists in the world today. We sure hope there's more competition out there in the future for better systems. But right now, I think we do have the best.
So, Michael, one of my concerns in a business like yours that I always think of immediately is cash flow outlay. So I think, now you got $1 million software system you've developed. And then, of course, inventory. I imagine like for your peak times like Valentine's, you probably have a big cash outlay. I'm thinking, wow, you bought this business, didn't sound like it was making much profit. How did you have a bunch of money on the sidelines? Did you have family and friends invest, or how did you make the cash flow part of it work?
Yeah, totally. So, okay, the first few years have been very different than the last few years. And the first few years, we were very cash flow tight. We come from a place, especially I was taking over this flower shop that was struggling to meet profitability, right? And so there were, don't get me wrong, I put in the hours, we slept in the flower shop, we did what it took. And there were times where we didn't know how to make payroll. we're really happy that those days are behind us, but we don't forget them, right? And so that was a problem for sure. The good news was I was coming out of college. I'd only been working in corporate for a year, kept my, collegely habits of low cost of living with me, and really just true to my core, saw the opportunity that we had and didn't really flinch when I had the opportunity to forego a salary or do anything possible to reinvest into our company. So I didn't take a salary for the first 3 years, or took a very, very small salary in order to pay rent. And that was about it. And yeah, but after a few years, we launched our technology. Our revenue tripled after we launched our tech. It was insane because we relaunched the tech all at once. There's a front end website, back end, and then the CRM, point of sale, the designer iPod technology that we talked about, and then everything between the dispatch system and everything that helps run our operations today. So when we launched that, our conversion rate was way higher. We launched a whole new product catalog that we did a ton of testing on to increase our average order value. We invested a ton into client retentions. We wrote with a robot. It's really cool. We still do it today. Write handwritten cards to all of our first-time customers.
Wow.
Developed a mobile application, a loyalty program. So anyways, we did all of these crazy things to really just develop a relationship with our clientele, and it works. And so we started investing in a search engine optimization and then paid acquisition once our conversion rate was really high to, put some fuel on the fire. So, after we launched our tech, things got a lot easier. It's not that, like, if I talk to a customer, they don't care that we're a technology company, but what the tech has allowed us to do is to focus more on the client experience, and that they do care about, right? And so it's automated the mundane and has allowed us to operate with much bigger economies of scale, so we can invest, more in direct relationships with farms as opposed to buying from wholesalers. We cut all of the 1-800-Flowers and all the intermediaries, built in a meaningful way a nice community with our clients, and had them. We talk about the term lifelong florist, and it applies to any industry. If you can if somebody orders from us, there's no reason they should ever order from another florist again. And so just like a relentless, obsessive focus on that, has brought us a long way. But in terms of cash flow, the floral industry, it should be, and our shops are, all shops should be very healthy unit economics and zero cash flow issues. And none of our shops face any of those issues today because we're taking the money from the customer today and we deliver the product tomorrow. And we're on all net terms with our vendors as well. So we get the money up front. So there should be no cash flow issue. And then we pay the vendor net 30, net 45, net 60, whatever it might be.
Got it.
And so, if we're getting the money up front, as long as we're running the company profitably, we should really be in the black all the time. And the only time that we were very stressed out was when we were making our, $1 million+ investments into the technology. That's not what a normal floral shop has to do today or at any point. Because now there's great tech that's out there. And I mean, not to shamelessly plug, but the franchise program, the way that we make money in the franchise program is we take 6%. So the normal industry standard 20 to 30%, right? We take 6%. And then that includes the technology, it includes all the incredible comprehensive amount of support that's provided with that. And so nobody needs to make $1 million investments in tech anymore. We continue to take responsibility for the ongoing innovation investments.
If you're a business owner feeling stuck in your business, overwhelmed, responsible for everything that happens, and working long hours, Tyler helps his clients develop processes, hire high-performing team members, and better understand their financial metrics and numbers to allow for a more predictable, less hands-on business. To schedule a free, no-pressure consultation, head to thinktyler.com and click the meeting button. Tyler would love to see if he can help you work on your business, not in your business. Schedule a consultation today at thinktyler.com. Think life, think success, think business.
Average is not invited. Not if you're holding your company off-site in Las Vegas. We aren't on friendly terms with the bare minimum, and unenthusiastic is uninvited. Las Vegas's creative energy and world-class hospitality want to bring your company off-site to crazy new heights. That's why fear-based leadership is afraid of Vegas, and boring won't be there, but it will be watching the meeting recordings later. Plan for the extraordinary at vegasmeansbusiness.com.
And so nobody needs to make $1 million investments in tech anymore. We continue to take responsibility for the ongoing innovation investments.
So that actually brings up the question. So you've decided to go down the route of franchising. So you're the franchisor, and franchisees can get a license to be able to operate under your name in a whatever geographical area you either allow them to do or they want to open up. Was there a conscious decision? Because when you started mentioning the software, I'm like thinking, oh, I wonder if at one point you see a lot of times when people make specialty software, they just start selling software and it's not a franchise. Was there a discussion about that, or did you know all along, like, no, I'm going to create this system along with the software and it's all about the franchise?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, there's intentionality behind. I was going to say all. Probably, we have some blind spots, but there's intentionality around most of the things that we do, and the reason that we franchised was hugely intentional. You're totally 100% correct in saying that there was a massive economic opportunity to license the software, and we had many flower shops. It's a relatively tight community, and we became the number one florist in Los Angeles. We opened up a store in Orange County, and that store did like 1.1 million its first year. It's on, I think it's 2024. I think it broke just north of 1.8 million in revenue in its second year. And so we have the dominant market share in any city that we open up in. And it's kind of the goal for us to come in. And so again, it's not up to us, it's up to the customers, but we do a lot to make sure that, that we can do that. And so our flower shops are doing very economically well, especially compared to the industry standard. And we have this technology that surely other florists are asking for and want. And so, yeah, we had a choice. One was, our shops are doing really well. We could continue to operate corporate units. The second option is take the technology and pull it out and give it to the rest of the florist world, because that will help them a lot. And then there was this third option that was franchising. And remember how earlier we were talking about McDonald's owns French fries and Starbucks owns, or Dunkin' owns coffee. 1-800-Flowers does own the words flowers, but they're not, the writing is on the wall for them. It's an economic model that's a little bit predatory. It takes advantage of florists. It definitely doesn't put the florist first. And we saw an opportunity with franchising where everything we do is about the end client, right? I want to say it's about the florist, but it's not, because we're not in charge of who becomes the dominant market force. The client is. So everything we do is for the client. And so we saw an opportunity like, okay, how can we elevate the client experience? And what we came up with was, okay, on corporate expansion, we could open up 300 corporate locations. We could put 300 managers at each of the 300 stores and pay them an 80, 90, 100K salary. And yeah, they'd probably run it pretty well. Or we could franchise and put an owner there who's probably making a lot more than 100K. Again, our royalty is 6%. So they have 94%, we have 6%. They have 94% skin in the game. And they're probably going to care a little bit more than, a manager who just gets their paycheck and goes home at the end of the day, right? So we thought with franchising, it allows us to provide a better client experience. And that's why we chose that. And then franchising backed against the licensing of the software kind of goes to the McDonald's and Starbucks, where the consumers don't have a very reliable, high quality, service-oriented florist that can consistently produce incredible results nationwide. And so if we license the technology, we could certainly give, a lot of florists a leg up. But I don't know, the way that we've looked at things, we've always wanted to, it's not about a 5% or a 10% or a 15% improvement. Like, we want to take this thing in order of magnitude better. Like, we took this flower shop from, industry averages to, 30x. Like, that's what we want to do. And if we want to truly elevate the industry and provide consumers a great experience, we really like the idea of franchising, because we can operate under one cohesive brand. We can selectively partner with folks, either existing florists or people that are looking to open their own business who want to operate a French florist. It's a two-way evaluation. They get to see if our fit is a good program, our program is a good fit for them. We also get to see if they're a good fit for us. And if we decide, we date a little bit, right? And if we decide to get married, that's a nice partnership.
I'm with you. Okay, so who let's talk about that, the typical franchisee. Who is who does this appeal to? Who's your target? Who might be a good fit for something like this?
Yeah. So there's two paths that we are franchising. One is working within the existing infrastructure, that is the floral industry, the retail florists that are out there. So if somebody is a retail florist already, and we like to work with people who are already successful in the sense that they have a great team, they have a great client experience, but maybe they're struggling with the marketing or the email marketing or the payroll and admin and financial and bookkeeping and like all of the boring stuff that it takes to run the business. That's the stuff that we've gotten really good at. And if they're really creative and they're really passionate and they're in the business for the right reason, those are the folks that we want to partner with. If we're good at the boring stuff and they're really passionate, it's a pretty good combination that we found. And we partner in that way, right? And joining forces 1 + 1 is much greater than 2 that we've historically been able to find. So existing florists that want to take their business to the next level. That's one path. The second path is the more traditional franchising way, which is you could have somebody who maybe has worked corporate, for 20 years and they've always wanted to be their own boss, but they didn't want to take that leap. They know the statistics of how likely it is that startups fail. And the wonderful thing about franchising is that you're in business for yourself. You get to be your own boss, but you're not in business by yourself. You're working with a proven model, a proven team, the proven, unit economics of the store, and you get to absorb the system and processes. But you also get to go and run and own that shop and, really take the reins and truly, like from a legal standpoint, you are the owner of the business, right? It's your business, your decision making, but you're working with a proven systems, and it helps get you to that 0 to 1 point, at a way faster rate. So, for the right folks, again, we're always, the unit economics of the franchise or any business is very important. And we've worked really hard, but we've also gotten lucky with, the unit economics of our system is very strong. And so we're able to be a little bit more cautious. I don't know if cautious is the right word, but we're a little bit more selective on who we bring in the system, right? So it always depends on, I always like to ask folks, okay, great, you're running 2, 3 franchise locations with French Florist. You're making as much money as whatever makes you content. Like, then what? What are you going to go and do with it? We don't necessarily want the financials to be an end. We think it's a great means. Financial freedom is a great thing to go and do more. And we're always interested in like, okay, what are you going to go and do with that? How are you going to spend your time? And I don't care if you say, I want to go and take a 6-month vacation in Japan. I'll ask you why, but like maybe it's for self-discovery and to have fun in life because that's important. And anyways, or it could be something more social responsibility or environmental responsibility, like whatever it is. We're always looking for the deeper why. Why are you doing this, and how are you going to use it as a platform to go and do whatever else it is that you want in your life. So, anyways, the existing florists, people who have never owned and operated a business before, we're working with both. We have incredible operators on both sides that are achieving incredible results. So both methods are very feasible, but it's our job as the franchisor to make sure we're bringing the right people into the ecosystem to protect the brands and make sure that French Florist stays really strong through time. So.
Very cool. Did you guys get involved with, so I'm thinking like you have your suppliers, which are somewhat to your locality. How do you deal with if you have a franchise in Washington? Do you help, or another state, do you help the franchisee on the inventory side, or is that up to them to find their suppliers?
We do. Yeah, we help. It's a very, very comprehensive offering through and through. So in short, yes, we have an incredibly robust supply chain. I'll give you an example. We have a shop that opened up in North Scottsdale, and it was the first time it was our first shop outside of California. And their local market sells a bunch of roses for about $28 or $30 per bunch. There's 25 rose stems in a bunch. And we're able to get the actually better quality roses to them because we're flying them straight in from Ecuador, as opposed to them sitting at the local wholesaler for, however many days before the retailer gets them. So we're flying these, roses in directly from Ecuador, and we're getting them at a 30 or 40% discount. So we're able to get them for about $17.25 to North Scottsdale. So we don't require that they purchase from French Florist, but they're able to tap into our ecosystem, and everything that we do, we set up in a way that puts the florist first. We want what's best for their business. That's how we're going to create a sustainable ecosystem here. And so they don't have to use our supply chain. They're not required to, but we spend, millions and tens of millions of dollars on running the business because we run corporate units as well. And so that buying power allows all of our franchise owners to tap into that supply chain as well. So so not just the flowers, they get to tap into all of our floral vendors, a bunch of pre-negotiated pricing, and usually flown in directly from the farm. And then on the hard goods like vases and ribbons, we manufacture everything. So we try to disintermediate and not buy from wholesale. It's February and we're importing, we have, I think, 3 containers coming in from overseas this month. And I think 6 more containers coming in, all filled with glass. And the beautiful vases that we use. But now, because we're buying so much, we're able to etch. We have a slogan that we like to use. It's "You are loved." And just on the vase, it's etched very subtly, "You are loved." And on the bottom, French Florist. It's very subtle. It's not over, crazy branding. It's a really nice, subtle touch. And so we're able to level up. The reason we went overseas for that was actually to get higher quality at lower price. And so we're importing, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of vases at a time. And our franchise owners can tap into that. And so we're getting a higher quality product at lower price. So these products are costing our franchise owners, 20, 30% discount compared to what a normal florist is getting on the open market. But also importantly, these little subtle touches, because of the buying power that we have, we make sure that our franchise owners aren't just getting better prices, but are getting a superior product with the supply chain as well. So supply chain is a big aspect, another pillar of support that we provide, and it's a big one for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like if you're a creative individual and you don't want to deal with the boring stuff, it sounds like it's a tremendous opportunity for someone because even maybe someone that already has a store, because probably one of their big headaches is a supply standpoint, probably getting pricing, probably dealing with the boring stuff like, the bookkeeping, stuff like that. If you can kind of alleviate all those pain points, I kind of, as we continue to talk, I'm starting to see your master plan more and more. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're totally an open book. The master plan is, we'll tell you all about it. And the one of the missions that we have is we want to level up the industry, right? And one way to do that is there's been a lack of innovation in our industry. And the reason we're such an open book is we actually encourage people, if somebody wants to come and compete with the model, or if somebody wants to come in and build better tech, A, good luck. But B, we encourage it because competition is good. It helps innovation accelerate, and we're not shy to share our secrets. And if other people want to come into the industry and help level up the industry, we're all for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, before we wrap up, I'd love to end with something along the lines of along your entrepreneurial journey. Do you have a few tips you could give us? Maybe 1 to 3 tips that would speak to entrepreneurs out in the audience in terms of either growing or scaling their business or creating their own niche or whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, I can give you 3. I'll give you kind of them in the order of importance. For me, these are my personal opinions, right? I don't know if these are going to resonate, but these have held very, very true for me. The first one is, when I first took over the business, it was a challenge, and it was mostly just myself. We didn't have the resources to, hire managers or hire, an executive team, and it was really hard work. There were nights where I slept in the flower shop. I had to put in the hours, and I will say it was lonely, but not in the traditional sense of lonely, but it's lonely to do it on your own. And it was hard. And I will say over the course of the past 6 years, as the company has done better, we really have not been shy to bring in more leaders as we've been able to into the company. And that's been profound for our organization, is bringing in folks that are smarter than you, being humble and being honest with what your strengths are and where your gaps are, and fill in the gaps. Find people that will push back on your ideas in a constructive way, always from a good place of wanting to make sure the company is being leveled up. But the power of 1 + 1 greater than 2 is like not something to be understated. So I want to acknowledge that sometimes it's not possible to bring in other people immediately if you don't have a business partner, or if you don't have the resources to hire folks. But the second that you do it, and it's worth the investment. And even if you make a wrong decision, hire the wrong person, you learn pretty quickly. And those learnings are pretty invaluable. So yeah, the first one is the power of team, I guess. And it kind of, to try not to be cliche about it, but it is very true. So that's the first one. The second one is running a business and entrepreneurship in any way, shape, or form, whether it's through franchising or if you're running your own business, is hard. I think that in life's going to be challenging, and you have a choice. You can either choose your challenges, and if you don't choose your challenges, life's going to choose them for you. Life is going to be challenging. That's a non-negotiable. But entrepreneurship is a path where you get to choose your own challenges a little bit more. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be easy. And I think that over the past 6 years, I've been able to reframe a lot of the challenges that we hit as awesome. Like, we're hitting a challenge. We're doing something right. And we lean into them. We feel like we're not doing it right if we're not, call it failure. I call them challenges, right? So there's no real such thing as failures and challenges, I guess, in the traditional sense. There's a book called The Obstacle is the Way. And honestly, the whole book is summarized by the title. The obstacle is the way, right? If you're hitting obstacles, lean into them. And that's where you're going to learn the most. That's where the growth of the organization is going to be accelerated the most in periods of times of challenge. So that's the second one. And then the third one, I probably have 20 or 30. I've probably learned 20 or 30 things every single day. So it's hard to boil it down to only one last one. But if I were to try to boil it down to one last one, is because running a business is difficult, it does, to run it sustainably, there has to be unity between what you're doing for your work and what your personal values are. And a lot of people say, find what you're passionate about. There's other sayings that it's what are the three things? You have to find something that you're good at, something that you're passionate about, and something where you can make money. And if you can find the trifecta between the three, then that's the golden area to operate in. I think there's truth to that, but yeah, my perspective on it is I am really passionate about what I'm doing, and it gets me through the tough times a hell of a lot easier. So, if you can find something that is work that is beyond the financials, again, I think financials are great. They're a means to be able to do more, and the freedom, is an important thing to have that in life. But, I'm always interested in what folks are going to do beyond that. And if you can find work that can help you reach your financial goals, but there's also more to it than that. Like for us, we want to help people in that slogan that we have, "You are loved." We think that there's, especially in the age that we're in of technology and automation, and, there's this lack of human connection, and that's a very important thing for us. And I feel like the business that we're in serves that purpose of, enhancing the human connection and reminding people the importance of it. All the meaning, like our business is not about flowers. There's such a deeper meaning to it. And it's like the message of emotions that are being conveyed through the flowers. Right. And so, and that's what we get really fired up on. And the fact that we're able to work on that and, spread happiness and joy and love in that way, that aligns with our values as a company, and we hire around those values. So yeah, anyways, aligning yourself with what the business is doing on a deeper level, I think will get you a lot further than if you were just doing it purely out of financial, gain.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
Aligning yourself with what the business is doing on a deeper level, I think will get you a lot further than if you were just doing it purely out of financial, gain.
Yeah, I love that. I've heard that in our conversation a couple times. You have used that type of wording around it's more than just money. Like there's got to be a bigger why, I guess I'll say, or reasoning for what you're doing.
Yeah. And business is a beautiful platform. Yeah. I have stories to share on, had opportunities to go and, we have a choice every day to go and volunteer at a orphanage, go and volunteer at a soup kitchen, right? I feel like my strong suit, I love business. I really do. I love it. And so we're trying to find a way where we can use business as a platform to go and do better, right? So totally. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, you are an amazing guest. I appreciate your patience. This has been a little bit of a challenge to get this whole podcast together because we've had some technical glitches. Your two websites, FrenchFlorist.com is your business website. And then if you're potentially interested in being a franchisee, FrenchFloristFranchise.com is your other website. If people wanted to reach out to you, are those the two websites, or is there anywhere else you'd like them to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested in the franchise opportunity, specifically FrenchFloristFranchise.com is the place to go for more resources. My email, like I said, I'm an open book, Michael@FrenchFlorist.com. If you want to reach out for anything, super happy to be here and be a sounding board for any ideas that you guys might have.
Great. Thanks, Michael. You are an awesome guest. I appreciate all the wisdom you shared, and I can't wait to talk to you again in the future.
Awesome, Tyler. Thank you very much.
That's all for this episode of Think Business with Tyler. But we have plenty more resources to help you in your pursuit of business excellence on our website at thinktyler.com. If you'd like to be featured in a future episode of the show, feel free to reach out to us on social media at think_Tyler. We look forward to helping you think life, think success, and think business.